Training camp is finally upon us. We are just so excited. And with training camp comes plenty of risers and fallers in ADP in Dynasty. A ton of rookies going up in our rankings, a ton of rookies falling, a ton of veterans being impacted by these rookies. We're going to dive into this. We're going to talk about 5 rookies today who have skyrocketed up Dynasty rankings and what it means for their situations. Do we think they're buys or sells or holds on your Dynasty rosters right now? We're going to dive into all of it. But before we get started, make sure you guys drop that like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps us out a ton. And if you haven't already as well, go check out flockfantasy.com and use code DOMAIN. You get $30 off of that subscription there, and it's got everything. I mean, we've got exclusive live streams, exclusive videos, exclusive articles, a Discord, and we'll do a team review for you if you sign up using code DOMAIN. But let's get into it. Let's start with our guy, who we've been a fan of the entire offseason, the entire pre-draft process, and he just kept seeming to fall. And now finally, he's going up in ADP right now because of the current training camp hype. This is Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, I mean, Avery's over in Colorado right now, and he keeps tweeting out these Jackson Smith-Njigba highlights from training camp. And we're not those people. We're not the guys who get on there and see the rookie training camp videos and buy in to all that. But we've been saying it the whole time. Check our rookie rankings. We're not just beating our own drum here. We're not just ringing a bell. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is so good. Everyone knows it. He played in college with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Marvin Harrison Jr., and he was still so incredibly good. He went in the first round of the NFL draft for a reason, and yes, he fell a little bit. The question here is, will he be able to compete with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Well, our answer is yes. We're completely buying into this hype. I mean, JSN is the real deal. He's the best prospect over the last 2 years. I mean, right next to Garrett Wilson in our eyes, and we're completely in. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for you right now, but the guys he's going next to in ADP at the 305, check our live streams, for instance. I mean, in our mocks, that's where we've been taking him all along, but he's going over guys like Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, Drake London, Saquon Barkley. I mean, in that range, sometimes over them. And personally, I'm fine with that. I've been good with that the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, in the most recent ADP mock that we did, I was able to grab him on the tail end of the 3rd round, and if you can get him there, I mean, almost a full round apart from Jahmyr Gibbs, that's a smash pick there, in my opinion. I think with Jackson Smith-Njigba, you're going to see him going up ADP because of the training camp videos, and I honestly think that's the least merited reason for why he should be going up in rankings. If the training camp videos are the reason why he's going up, I guess that's fine. People are finally starting to understand that he's good, but why are the videos the reason why you think he's good now?
I think he obviously didn't play this last year at Ohio State, and we haven't seen him on an NFL, on a football field in so long. People are just getting excited to know, I guess, that he can still catch.
Yeah, and the biggest concern for him in fantasy this year is how much is he really going to produce with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. We've said all along, I mean, this is still yet to be seen, but look what he did with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in the same offense at Ohio State. It's funny
and both of them are better than.
Yeah, it's funny that early in the pre-draft process, that was the reason why JSN was so valuable, and then it ended up being the reason why he was being shorted, and now it's going to be the reason why he's going back up in value. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but hey, in my opinion, I'm still buying JSN even if he goes up in value a little bit, because I don't think he's being valued near what his ceiling is, which is a late 1st round startup pick in the future or a early 2nd round startup pick in the future, right around those guys like CeeDee Lamb and Garrett Wilson. So next guy on our list is going to be Zay Flowers, who's currently wide receiver 25 according to Keep Trade Cut. And look, this is a guy that has 1st round draft capital. Those 4 wide receivers that went in the 1st round this year went back to back to back to back. It was who was at JSN first, and Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison. Zay Flowers just drew the short straw, and he was drafted last of those 4. But he could have gone first over all of those guys, and then he probably would have been valued much higher. The fact of the matter is, why did we forget that Zay Flowers was a 1st round draft pick and is going into a situation where Lamar Jackson has struggled with injury for the past 2 seasons? He's very capable as a passer, and they're going into an offense where Greg Roman is no longer there. They're going to be passing the ball a lot more to protect Lamar, and because they just drafted a wide receiver in the 1st round again when they failed with Rashad Bateman. I mean, his college target share was 29.6%. I know a lot of the reason why he's being shorted was because he stayed 4 years at Boston College, which is not known for its high quality football play. So why did he not, transfer or graduate early and break out early? Well, I mean, you could attribute this. I know he wasn't as directly impacted by the COVID year because he came, he's coming into 2023, but this did impact him a little bit in his production early on in his college career, and that could have also resulted in him lasting or spending more time in college. But I mean, with him having that draft capital, having that target share through the first 11 games in 2021 with who's LJ?
With Lamar Jackson.
With Lamar Jackson. Marquise Brown averaged 18 points per game. We're comparing Zay Flowers to Marquise Brown.
I think they're going to have similar roles.
They're going to have similar roles, and I think Zay Flowers is going to be a bit more versatile on that offense than what Marquise Brown was. Marquise Brown really served as primarily their deep ball threat in Greg Roman's offense.
Yeah, he got a lot of screens too. He was kind of like a deep threat and a gadget type of player on the front.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, I think, really were able to unlock his skill set even more with Kyler Murray. They're willing to utilize him more than Greg Roman was, but now Todd Monken, I think, is going to be able to utilize Flowers in a very similar role as Marquise Brown, but with more short to intermediate targets, and I think I'm calling my shot, and I don't think this is bold. Zay Flowers is the lead wide receiver in that offense, and I don't think he'll beat out Mark Andrews, but I think it'll be closer than some may anticipate. Valued around Terry McLaurin, who is, I mean, from a fantasy football perspective, he's a career wide receiver too.
Let's say this. I'll take Lamar Jackson over Sam Howell. We don't even need to talk about Terry as an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Then you got Calvin Ridley going into an oversaturated offense in the passing game, playing alongside Christian Kirk and a bunch of other guys that they've been drafting, investing in, not to mention Evan Ingram. Deebo Samuel, who, while I like Deebo Samuel and would probably still slightly prefer Deebo Samuel over Zay Flowers, I think it's closer than it's currently being represented in ADP. And I mean, Zay Flowers is a younger guy, first-round pick, hasn't really struggled with injury at all, and has the chance to be the dominant wide receiver one with Lamar Jackson as opposed to Deebo, who is splitting time and splitting target share with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that offense is just absolutely loaded. Jamison Williams, come on, guys. Come on. Why is Zay Flowers going around that like we have never liked Jamison Williams. We've warmed up to his current price in Dynasty, but if you're choosing between Zay Flowers and Jamison Williams, please, please, please take Zay Flowers. One of those guys is the wide receiver one in their offense. One of those guys can actually play a slot role in their offense. The other guy, and it's not Zay Flowers,
is next to the best slot in the NFL.
Is a field stretcher playing with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Take Zay Flowers there. Love the price.
Yeah, no, I really do love that price, and especially when you're looking at the age of those guys around him. None of them are old, but I'm looking at Zay Flowers and realizing, okay, he's a rookie. I mean, more likely than not, he's going to gain value, and those guys are going to start to get on the decline unless they're producing as elite assets, and they're valued in that range because they're not. But let's move on here to Tank Bixby. We just talked about the Jacksonville offense, and he's in a saturated offense, especially when it comes to the passing game. And people might look at that and say, well, Etienne's the main passing back in that backfield. Well, Etienne was not. Last year, he averaged 2.7 targets per game, and Tank Bixby coming out of college at a 15.3% target share. And like Etienne, he was great coming out of college. He was that same prospect, elite in the passing game, but he has not been that in the NFL. So we're looking at Tank Bixby as he's starting to gain hype, as clips are emerging of Trevor Lawrence tossing the ball to Tank Bixby on an empty field. What does this all mean? Well, Jacksonville drafted him in the third round for a reason. They do intend to use him. Doug Peterson likes his committee backfields, and we think that both Etienne and Bixby will have a role in that offense. But when I'm looking at Tank Bixby's price, valued next to guys like Roschon Johnson, I'll take Roschon. Will Levis, I'll take Will Levis. Tyler Lockett, okay, I'll probably take Lockett.
Yeah.
Tank Bixby is one of those guys where I think if he starts to gain more and more hype, I'm going to be cashing out for 2 seconds there. I'm going to be cashing out for some veterans that will actually produce for me, because I think not only is his ceiling really capped playing next to Travis Etienne, who is a more talented prospect, but he's playing in a Doug Peterson backfield and doesn't really ever profile to have a full workload there.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we were buying Tank Bixby to begin with. We were buying Tank Bixby to sell Tank Bixby in the future. I'm not high on ETN in Dynasty or in Fantasy, but I do like him as a talent much, much more than Tank Bixby. I think he's going to be their long-term option there, and they brought in Tank Bixby, like we said, like Simon said, to really fulfill that Doug Peterson committee backfield role. But despite that, when you do look at Doug Peterson's history with running backs, even though it is an overall kind of committee back system with a limited carries opportunity share for the lead back, there is still a clear lead back every single year for Doug Peterson, getting around 170 carries, and ETN is definitely going to be that guy. It's not going to be Tank Bixby. Bixby's ceiling is just massively limited for, honestly, I think his career for being on the Jags and with Doug Peterson. So next guy is going to be Rasheed Rice, going at wide receiver 49. He's going to keep going up in value along with Justin Ross. But with Kadarius Toney going down, surprise face. I don't have a very good surprise face, but Rice has been rising up rankings since Kadarius Toney shockingly got injured. I mean, who could have ever predicted that? We're not in the business of predicting injuries unless someone gets injured multiple times a year consistently. That's kind of the definition of Kadarius Toney and Rashad Penny. 33.2% college target share, drafted into the second round for a reason. And look, I understand that Rasheed Rice did not play in a Power 5 conference. I understand that he stayed in college all 4 years. I understand that he wasn't that dominant until his fourth year and playing in a conference where most of those guys are going to end up having full-time jobs outside of the NFL. But you still have to recognize the draft capital. You still have to recognize that he is playing in an offense with Patrick Mahomes, okay? We are looking for small value wins in the second round of rookie drafts. And when you're getting Rasheed Rice there earlier this season and he's going up in Dynasty ADP, this is a point where you can look to capitalize. He's currently being valued next to Khalil Herbert, Chig Okonkwo, and Cole Kmet. Right now, I'm still taking Rasheed Rice over every single one of those guys, even though Cole Kmet signed this amazing contract. Like, Rasheed Rice is still my guy. And honestly, for this year, he's my pick to be the lead wide receiver in that offense. Is that saying a lot? No, because Mahomes is going to tell us, he's going to keep telling us every single year that it's going to be a different wide receiver every single week. But when Rasheed Rice puts up 600, 700, 800 yards, there's going to be a lot of hype with him because he's probably going to be on the Chiefs for a while, and then that's when you're going to be able to cash out. I'm a big fan of his value right now. He's a hold if you have him. I would still honestly consider even investing in him right now because he hasn't gone up too far enough where I'm willing to sell him. So liking Rasheed Rice's price still at wide receiver 49. And we're going to close this out with Sean Tucker, the undrafted wonder.
Yeah. So, I mean, sarcastically, I said Sean Tucker was drafted in the 8th round, and that doesn't exist, and it means nothing, right?
Yeah.
Sean Tucker, he was good in college, right? He had 127 yards per game and 1.1 touchdowns over his last 2 years in college. And that's great. We all saw that. We all thought Sean Tucker was going to be a good running back prospect coming into this year's draft, and we were surprised when he fell. But he did. He did fall, and just because he was a Debbie Darling does not mean he's still valuable. The guy is someone you could have picked up on waivers after some of your rookie drafts. I mean, he was going in the third, sometimes in the third, most of the time in the fourth, and sometimes even undrafted. And right now he's getting training camp hype. I mean, he's in a backfield with Rachaad White and who else? So we understand that he's in an empty backfield on a bad offense. Yeah, Sneak. Yeah, he's playing with Sneak. But he's someone I'm definitely looking. He's going next to no one valuable really. Jake Ferguson, K. Dotton, Chuba Hubbard, Josh Palmer, and all guys who really don't have any long-term upside themselves. And if you're looking to sell Sean Tucker for any of those guys, okay, I wouldn't.
You might as well
right?
just hold Sean
He has
Tucker.
more upside. But if you're able to start getting, 2 future thirds, a future second that's projected to be late by someone who played Devian like Sean Tucker, if you're able to do anything like that, the closer we get to preseason, as he gets touches in the preseason, I would do that because, you got in for nothing. You might as well get out for something. And I get he has a chance to turn into something, but you don't want to be stuck with Romeo Doubs like you did last year, where you got in for a 4th-round pick, could have sold him for 2 seconds, maybe even a late first, and now you're stuck again with Romeo Doubs, wide receiver 60.
I can already see the comments rolling, just saying how Sean Tucker is going to be this undrafted outlier, just like Austin Eckler and all of these, Arian Foster, all of these greats. We get this every single year. A dynasty darling that we expected to be a high round draft pick in the NFL ends up falling, being undrafted, medical concerns, character concerns, all that jazz. Like, we've got to let go at some point.
Yeah.
And I get why you invest in the rookie, because rookies do increase in value at this point of the season. That's a good investment earlier this past offseason. Get rid of him for anything once he goes up.
I mean, I'm not selling for a single
anything.
third. I'd rather keep him.
Okay.
But,
sure.
I mean, he has James Robinson outlook in his future, right? James Robinson is first and second year, but more likely than not, they invest in an 8th round pick in him.
Yeah.
So nothing. They owe nothing to him, and more than likely, if Rachaad White doesn't pan out, the Bucs are just going to go and draft another running back, and Sean Tucker has no dynasty value.
Yeah, training camp is a time where we learn that some of the people in the dynasty community just haven't moved on from the guys that they thought were going to get drafted high and ended up not. And I think Sean Tucker is a good example of that right now, and he's going to continue to rise in ADP. But thank you guys so much for watching today. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Liking the video does us a huge favor. It takes like less than 2 seconds. You have to pull up your phone, and then you have to press the like button, and then it does like fireworks and cool stuff. It's a lot of fun. I like to do it too, and I really recommend that you guys do it too. So head over to flockfantasy.com if you have not already, and you'll get 30% off of the subscription if you use code DOMAIN. You'll get exclusive videos, exclusive articles, and the Discord, and you'll get a team review from us. We love doing team reviews. We love to help you grow and improve and win your dynasty championships. That's what we're here for. So as always, we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you later.